Hey there, econ students. This is your gadgets practice, so determining costs or calculating costs and determining production practice activity. This will build off of the cost and revenue notes that we did the other day and should serve as a good resource to help you complete Andrea's software. So what you're looking at in front of you is a chart that has some various costs calculated for a company that creates gadgets. And we're going to use the formulas that were shared with you in your last set of notes to help you fill in the blanks here. So one thing that I'm going to do to get us started out is I'm going to relabel each column with the variable that applies to that column. So the gadgets per hour is going to be the numbers that we need when we are looking for quantity sold and quantity produced. You'll see a pattern with the next ones that are pretty straightforward. You're just taking the first letter of the words, and that'll help label the column. So fixed cost is FC, variable cost is VC, total cost TC, marginal cost MC, marginal revenue MR, and like we said in the notes, profit, it can't be P because price is already P, so that's a K. Also, remember from your notes, marginal revenue should be the same as price in almost all circumstances because the additional amount of money that a firm is bringing in should be the price of what they charge for their product, with a few exceptions that we don't need to worry about at this moment. When you start attacking these columns, the first thing that I like to zero in on is the cost. So I use the formula that we have, which was fixed cost plus variable cost equals total cost. So as long as I know two of those three numbers, I should be able to calculate the missing variable out of those three. The other thing that we'll do first, before we even start worrying about adding or subtracting, is looking at the fixed cost column. Recall that fixed costs don't change. So these will be $24 all the way across, no matter how many gadgets we're making or not making. Okay, then what we can do is we can start zeroing in row by row, looking at fixed cost plus variable cost equals total cost. So in the first row, $24 of fixed cost plus zero variable cost implies that we'd have $24 in total cost. In the next row, we have 24 plus the mystery number gives us 32. So 32 minus 24 is 8. So that's what's missing there. In the row where we make 2 gadgets per hour, 24 plus 12 gives us 36. In row 3, 24 plus 15 is going to give us 39. Row 4, we know that 24 plus the mystery number gives us 44, so that mystery number has to be 20. The next row, 24 plus 27 would give us 51. 24 plus 36 will give us total cost of 60. 24 plus 48 will give us total cost of 72. 24 plus 63 would give us 87, and 24 plus 82 gives us 106. 24 plus 106 is 130. Then we got 160 and 197. Okay, so there you have your cost column. Now, calculating marginal cost is one of the trickier things that students find they have to do. When you're calculating marginal cost, remember what we're looking for is the total cost in the current row minus the total cost from the previous row. So when we calculated 8 here, we took the total cost of $32 when we made 1 gadget per hour, and compared it to when we made 0 gadgets per hour, the total cost is only 24. So 32 minus 24 gives us 8. So if we want to go to the next row, and when we look at 2 gadgets per hour, the total costs to make that is $36. which is an increase from $32 of $4. Okay, then when we went to the next row, we're making 3 gadgets per hour. We went from 36 to 39, so that's an increase of 3. Then we went from 39 to 44, which is going to give us an increase of 5. Skip the next row, and then as we go to making 6 gadgets per hour, our total cost increased from 51 to 60, so that went up by 9. We go to making 8 gadgets per hour, total cost went from 72 to 87.
Miss Carlson, Cheryl Carlson, please dial 3702.
Don't mind that announcement. Then we have to go down to the 11th row where we have 130 going to 160. Marginal revenue, when we look at the marginal revenue column, each marginal revenue is the price, so we should be looking at $24 throughout the entire column. Total revenue, when we calculate total revenue, the formula that we used for calculating total revenue was we took the price, which is the same as the marginal revenue, so number in this row, times the quantity, which is the number in this row. So in row 0, or 0 gadgets per hour, 24 times 0, 24 times 0 gives us 0. 24 in the next row times 1 gives us 24. So here we go 24 times 2 is going to give us 48. The other thing that you can note here is since we are going up by only the price of 1 more gadget per hour, the number is going to increase by 24 each time. So this is 72, and then 96, and then 120. So again, we're either just multiplying the price times the quantity, or we can be adding $24 every time we go to the next row. So here we're at 192. Here we are at 240. Here we are at $288. Last column is going to be calculating profit, or as you can see in parentheses, those are designated as losses. Other accountants may use red instead of green or black to signify a loss, or you may just see a good old-fashioned negative sign in front, which is what I will put in there if we happen to have a loss. The formula for calculating profit is you take the company's total revenue and you subtract their total cost. So 0 minus 24 gives us negative 24. In the next row, 24 minus 32 is going to give us negative $8. So still lost money if we were only making 1 per hour. Then you can see as we start working our way down the rows, we are starting to turn a profit. So total revenue is 96 in the 4th row, and we're subtracting the total cost, which is 44. So that is $52 in profits. Then we have 144 minus 60 is going to give us 84. 168 minus 72 is going to give us 96. 216 minus 106 is going to give us 110. 264 minus 160 is going to give us 104. Notice at row 9 and 10, the profit is $110, and then at 11 and 12, we see the profit is starting to decline again. So the pattern that you see in profit starts in a loss, starts climbing its way out of that loss category, but once you get to that 10th gadget per hour, something changes and the profit is starting to decrease. Something called the law of diminishing marginal returns that we'll get into in a different lesson. The last few questions that we should be familiar with, we're not going to worry about 18 and 19. According to economists, the business should continue to produce additional units of any item until, and this was in the notes the other day, until the marginal revenue is equal to the marginal cost. And so what that means is in the marginal revenue and total revenue columns, you want to look for, sorry, that is incorrect. In the marginal revenue and marginal cost columns, you want to find where the numbers are the same. And so when you read across in the 10th row, that's where the costs and the revenue are both $24. That maximizes the profit for this company, and it gives them a profit of $110. So we would say they need to produce 10 gadgets at their current price. But if the price of gadgets rose to $37 in number 16, then the firm should produce more of them because we've got more revenue coming in. So imagine that all the numbers in the marginal revenue row, instead of being 24, are 37s. And so what you'll need to do is look for where is the marginal cost $37 as well. And that's not until you get to the 12th row where it's $37. So if the price were to rise, the firm could produce more per hour, and they should produce 12 gadgets. Last point, if the price of gadgets dropped to 15, then imagine the marginal revenue, the whole entire column is 15 instead of 24. Look at where the marginal cost is 15, and that is at 8 gadgets. And some of you might think, well, if marginal revenue changes or the price changes, that's going to change the total revenue column and probably the profit column, and you'd be correct in doing that. What that would do, though, is create a lot more work in terms of recalculating those numbers. And instead of having to do that, as long as we can compare marginal costs and marginal revenue, that is going to produce the greatest profit. You could go in and recalculate all those columns, and what you would find is that the profit is greatest at the 8th row if the price were to change. So my hope is that this screencast helps you out. Feel free to message me or just ask me questions as they come up. Good luck.